We know that inflation has been stuck at 3.7%. So the question now is, well, what should we invest in? Are there some things that we should look at to add to our portfolio or our watch list to survive and really make money during this time? Guess what? I've got a list of 5 companies that you want to add to your watch list. I'm also going to tell you right now, okay? The members, they got this early, okay? They got this list early, so there are benefits to being inside of our members only group. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, like all of these lists that I do, I try to add some diversification. I try to pick companies from different areas. Obviously, I want them to do well, and I try and pick some that have some dividends if you are into that. I think this list has the majority of that in each one of these. All right, so the first one, let's go ahead and break it down, is Eli Lilly. The stock symbol here is LLY, and this is one that we have talked about on the channel before. I don't know how many of y'all listen to me, but I'm gonna tell you now, the company is up 62% in the last 6 months and up 82% over the last year. What else I gotta say? I will say though that anything in the medical space, or most things, not anything, most things in the medical space are considered to be inflation resistant because whether it is equipment or medication or anything in between, you have to use it, right? If I need medication, I had asthma, I gotta buy the stuff, I gotta buy it. Vitamins, if I gotta buy it, I gotta buy it, right? It needs to happen regardless of what the price is. Now, for a functioning society, I would argue it's not always the best thing, but from an investor perspective, it is usually a good thing. But if Eli Lilly is not your thing and there are some legitimate criticisms for it, I've got something for you. That is McKesson. That stock symbol is MCK, and they are a medical equipment manufacturer if you want to stay away from Eli Lilly. Now, they're not doing as well as Eli Lilly, but check this out. Up 25% in the last 6 months and up 29% over last year. I have been telling people about McKesson for quite a while. I know those in the members only know because you got this list early, but also others have, it's been on a list, it's been on my watch list for a good minute now because of how consistent this company has been. So if you don't have it on your watch list, you need to go on and start your research yesterday, okay, for a company like McKesson, because they have been flying under the radar. Now, I know I've seen other channels and people talk about Eli Lilly in the past. I've had some people compare Eli Lilly and saying it's better than Apple. They might not be wrong if I'm just looking at how well they have performed, but a company like McKesson, flying completely under the radar, haven't seen that many people talk about it. And again, when it is doing well and is consistent, that's a company that you do want to pay attention to. And it's been beating inflation, and it's a good spot to invest in if you are concerned that inflation is not going to come down in the way that most expect it to. The next one here is Caterpillar. I'm happy, or I'm slightly happy, I'll say that. I'm slightly happy about Caterpillar for 2 reasons, or maybe 3. One, it's up 22% in the last 6 months and up 53% over the last year. I'm happy because I did bring up Caterpillar way back when we talked about the infrastructure bill. Okay, I also talked about John Deere. I also talked about United Rentals. Now, the unfortunate thing for me is that I chose John Deere instead of Caterpillar. I wish I'd flipped those around because Caterpillar is blowing John Deere out the water. Also, Caterpillar pays a good, solid dividend. So if you are a dividend investor and you want something that is doing well with a dividend, Caterpillar might be that one for you. I consider this an inflation-resistant company because yes, you got the infrastructure stuff, but let's set that aside. We are building more things. We are building more homes, and we're trying to catch up and really force more supply into the market for housing. And once inflation does come down, I expect those to continue to do well. The other thing is too, yes, inflation is stuck now. Okay, the last 2 inflation reports have pretty much been flat at 3.7%. But at some point, it is going to come down, and that margin for a company like Caterpillar is going to improve. What do I mean when I say margin? When you create these tractors and equipment, it's going to cost you some money and you are selling it for a certain amount. As inflation comes down and that price to create those items goes down a bit, that is going to increase that margin and give them more profit. That should make the company look a lot more profitable. The other thing that I like about Caterpillar too, they are in the Dow Jones 30. This is one of the 30 largest companies in the US, which by proxy means that they are long and established and they are likely going to be around for quite some time. Now, that doesn't mean that every company inside Dow Jones is great, okay? Sometimes Caterpillar in the last 10 or 15 years, they've had an off year. This ain't one of them, okay? But also, Verizon and AT&T are in the Dow Jones. I wouldn't really consider those the greatest companies in the world, but it does give you an assurance that, hey, they're likely not to go bankrupt. So again, Caterpillar out there, I don't know if I just flipped those and added one into the other, but y'all get the point. Caterpillar is the one here, okay? Add them to your watch list, take a look at it, and see if it is a good fit for you. Next here is one you might not expect, and that is LuluLemon. That stock symbol is Lulu, L-U-L-U. The stock is up 12% in the last 6 months and up 43% over the last year. This is a stock that is in my daughter's portfolio. If you checked out that video during her birthday week, then you would have known about this company. The way that I like to look at it is in terms of an inflation stock is the fact that they cater to a wealthier customer. Okay, at the end of the day, they are looking to be in the minds of consumers who are 6 figures and up, and these tend to be people who got more cash and can survive any type of, or I would say, better weather the storm of any inflation environment. Now again, context here, right? We came from a 9% inflation environment to something that is right below 4. So things are better from an inflation perspective, and we expect them to get better in the next year or so. But these people are going to keep spending money on companies like LuluLemon. I can argue, while I don't think they're a perfect comparison, a company like LVMH. This is the Louis Vuitton super luxury brands. They've been doing well over the last several years, and it's because the people who spend money on that stuff got money, right? It really doesn't matter to them because their paychecks are going to stay the same. They're extremely financially stable, and they're not in a consumer group that is going to downgrade or down switch as prices get tough in certain areas. LuluLemon is very sticky for people who love the brand, who have that extra cash, and they're going to continue having that extra cash. So LuluLemon falls into the list for me. The next one is perhaps the most interesting here, and it's just an observation that I've made. I have Constellation Energy Group, CEG, here for a few reasons, other than the fact that it's up 53% in the last 6 months and up 44% over the last year. They're a clean energy manufacturing producer. Now, I have noticed from doing these videos every day, Monday through Friday, over the last several years here on this channel, that right around now, especially in Q4, energy stocks tend to do well. And from what I have read on it, and again, just from my observation, is usually due to how cold it gets and people produce and use more energy during this time. For example, I have a gas fireplace. It don't come on till it get cold, and now it's starting to get cold, right? So my gas energy bill used to go from $12 a month to like $60 or $70, depending on how much we are watching TV downstairs with the fireplace on. So this might be the time to start to add some energy to your watch list if that is something that you are interested in. Now, that's not to say that ExxonMobil or Chevron won't do as well or won't have any comparable numbers, but based on what I'm seeing, Constellation Energy is one that just seems to have produced a lot better results for investors. But with all these companies, I would prefer to line these 5 up and then also see what is adjacent, what is next to it. So if I'm looking at LuluLemon, I think LuluLemon is the best. Check out Nike and just compare it, because it's going to give you a lot more context too, and it's something you always want to add to your research repertoire, right, to help you to see in context how well something is doing versus everything else, as opposed to just looking at that one company and absolutely nothing else. That's something that I would urge you to do. So if you're looking at Eli Lilly, also check out Merck, see how they stack up to each other, and that's going to help you to see whether you really believe in Eli Lilly or is there something better that I may have missed. So I would love to hear your thoughts on those. I'll also say that these aren't the only amazing stocks that are out there. Even though last month the stock market was down 5%, there are a lot of great deals to be had. If you are looking for more of those deals in the stock market, these are the videos you want to check out next.